In Chapter 7, we're going to look at cellular respiration. Now, a lot of times people hear respiration and they think lungs and breathing, but that's more on the level of a whole organism. Cellular respiration occurs in each individual cell. So, cellular respiration, our ultimate goal is to make a lot of energy, a lot of ATP, and we're going to do that by breaking down organic compounds, or actually, the specific one will be glucose. This is done by autotrophs and heterotrophs. So, a lot of times people think the plants do the photosynthesis and the animals do the respiration. But actually, plants do both. So, if we look at the equation for cellular respiration, we start out with a sugar, a glucose molecule, and oxygen. So, if we think about what we need some type of food and we need oxygen to breathe. Then that gets produced into carbon dioxide, which we breathe out, our cells give off, water, and a form of energy, ATP. And if we compare the respiration formula with the photosynthesis formula, we can see they're almost just the opposite. And the only difference is the energy used in photosynthesis is light, the energy given off in cellular respiration is ATP. The first step of cellular respiration is what is called glycolysis. And so in glycolysis, we're going to take that glucose molecule and break it down into what is called pyruvic acid or pyruvate that we'll be able to use later. This process takes place in the cytosol, which, if you recall from when we studied the parts of the cell, the cytosol is that fluid jelly-like substance that kind of holds everything together. This process does not have oxygen, and so it's called anaerobic. So starting off with glycolysis, the first step, we're going to start with that glucose molecule. And if you notice, there are 6 yellow dots here. Those yellow dots represent the carbon atoms. So we've got 6 carbon atoms that we're going to begin with. Then we're going to use some ATP to get this started. We need a little bit of energy. So ATP is going to come in. We're going to use 2, and each one is going to give a phosphate to be placed on the end of that glucose molecule. So now those ATPs become ADPs, and they're going to go off. Now we take that 6 carbon molecule with phosphates on each end, and we're going to split those apart. And we've seen this before. These are those G3P molecules. Then the G3Ps are going to add another phosphate to each end, and this process is going to give off a hydrogen. So now the NAD plus can add that hydrogen and make energy in the form of NADH. After we've done that, then those ADP molecules are going to come back, and they're going to use the phosphates and turn back into ATP. So if on each side we produce 2 ATPs, we've just made 4 ATP molecules, or 4 molecules of energy. And once we've taken the phosphates off, we have 3 molecule pyruvate. So if we look at this all together, we're taking glucose and we're ultimately going to make some energy and pyruvate. So the glucose takes the phosphates from ATP, puts it on the end. We've gained some more phosphates. Then we make NADH, 2 of those, which is going to give us some energy. Then the phosphates are going to the molecules here are going to give their phosphates back and make 2 ATPs on each side. So that's 4 ATP molecules. And then our pyruvate. So we're ultimately in glycolysis producing 2 NADH molecules, 4 ATP molecules, and 2 pyruvate molecules. And then this will lead us into the next step of cellular respiration.